The Genesis GV80 is a luxury SUV and it has been updated for 2025, including the addition of the vehicle we're driving, the Coupe. Ooh, Coupe.
This is how much the GV80 costs.
We've checked every box on the luxury card bingo. Stitching, lighted elements, knobs and switches made out of metallic looking materials or glass, carbon fiber.
And it's a really interesting weave. Napa leather happening here. It all comes together to give a very premium smell. Sorry, that's funny.
Wow.
That's a Freudian thing. No, literally when I got in last night, I was like, ooh, this smells premium. That's nice. We mentioned the GV80 has been updated for 2025. They're small but substantive changes. Drive selector is now more visually and tactily distinguished from the infotainment controller. It used to have a little roller knob for volume. Now we have a knob. This whole interface has been a little bit updated and it's more usable and also more attractive. And then we've got this big 27-inch OLED screen. We're going to talk more about that in just a little bit. Oh, and because we're driving the Coupe, it specifically has this D-shaped steering wheel, though you'll have to be turning right or left to experience that D. That didn't sound good at all.
I thought it sounded great.
Oh my.
Changing the subject, let's talk about cup holders. When you use them, they don't interfere with the HVAC controls. There is what looks to be a cup holder in the door, but I cannot figure out what is small enough to fit in there. 5-hour energy?
Yeah, boop.
There is a nice pocket here in the door. There is a hidden phone zone, which I love because I often forget my phone in the car. This keeps it out of sight. There is a wireless charger as well as 2 USB ports, and whatever that is.
It says 12 volt on it. Why is that confusing?
It says 12 volt and 180 W.
She reviews cars for a living. Hey, over here in the center console, it looks like, wait, that's not much space at all. But then you lift it up and you realize that there's hidden space underneath. Moving back to the seats, and man, it sure looks good. That is Napa leather. These are quality materials. Simultaneously, all of that cool stitching and design work makes it so that it's not a very smooth seat to sit in. But I am getting good support laterally, very, very adjustable seats. Got the little thigh extension in here.
I have personal built-in cushioning, so the back isn't bothering me at all. And just so it's not all praise, this is almost too luxurious. There's such a substantial feel to some pieces that I can't move them. That center armrest in their back seat, I was like, am I sick? Am I tired?
We reviewed a Ford Ranger a while back, and I was noting something super, super esoteric about the difference in effort between like the turn signal and like some other button here. And I said, at some point, I'm going to reference this video because there's got to be a vehicle where you have a consistent feel. This is that vehicle. The turn signal has a heft to it. The steering has a heft to it. There's a cohesive feel to this thing. I'm just excited that simply driving this vehicle is going to make us so darn buff. The big question with the Coupe is, oh man, are they going to compromise a lot of the functionality by making it a cool, sleek roofline? And the answer is, only slightly. It's 0.8 inches less headroom and then 0.5 inches less shoulder space. But even with my poofy hair, and this is about as poofy as it gets, I still clear that headliner. I also have reasonable knee and foot space. The seats do slide and recline, and because we've got one of the fancier trims, they've got a power function here. Oh, Kiddo, how do you find climbing in and out of this vehicle?
Pretty easy.
What about sitting in that middle position? Does that work for you?
I fit good. The hump isn't too high and also not too low. My feet fit pretty perfectly there.
Amazingly, I also fit in that middle position. 40, 20, 40 split fold seats. Sweetie, tell them all about it.
The seats, they split 40, 20, 40.
Well done. Reviews cars for a living.
Why that is useful is if you have 4 passengers as well as a long item that you want to bring along with you. The rear seats raise and lower from the cargo area. They're a little bit on the slow side, but I'm also a little bit on the impatient side.
Behind the second row seats, we've got 30.3 cubic feet versus the 36.5 cubic feet you have in the GV80 SUV rendition.
There is a bit of underfloor storage that's mostly taken up by the battery and the tire mobility kit.
With the base 2.5 liter engine, you do get an actual spare under that area, but with the higher trims, there's just not enough space. In the SUV version, you can get a third row seat that, from what I hear, is quite compact, but you can only get it with the 3.5 liter engine, so you have to like work your way up to what was like 74 grand to have a third row. Sweetie, what about the latch situation?
There are 3 top tethers or 2 sets of lower anchors in the outboard position. Easy to snap our booster in, and I think there would be room for a rear-facing car seat back there.
As for safety, the NHTSA has not rated the 2025 GV80. In 2024, they did a front test and it rated like 4 stars. For 2024 and the IIHS, they named the GV80 a top safety pick plus. I'm imagining a lot of that stuff will carry over to the 2025 model because it's just a light exterior refresh. Generally a pretty safe vehicle. Doubly safe because we have a standard suite of active driver safety assist technology, plus 10 airbags, and there's an ultrasonic occupant alert system. So if you leave something alive in there, kiddo, make a fun noise. Perfect. If we were to leave her back here, the car would alert us. Family, what do we think? Is the Genesis GV80 family friendly?
With a base price of over $50,000, it is rich family friendly.
Rear window test. Not all the way down. High five. Ding. Armrest test, driving in a comfortable 8 and 4. It's a little bit of a reach, especially to the outboard armrest, but it's workable. We do have stitching on the edge here, but the real problem is that underneath here is a pretty hard edge. You hear that? 65% inboard, 85% outboard. Moving onward to style. The 2025 Genesis GV80 has been updated versus the 2024 model. Redesigned headlights, updated front and rear fascias. That's a new grille design. Unless you look at a side-by-side, it's a little bit difficult to tell, but much like the interior, it's little changes, but collectively, I think it is doing the right things.
I love how elegant this looks, but it doesn't look stodgy. It looks sporty and sleek. It's so pretty.
Another significant update for 2025 is the introduction of a new body style, the Coupe, that we're driving. What makes the Coupe version of the GV80 special? Let's discuss while I wear today's sponsor, Flying Eyes Eyewear. Big one, 20-inch wheels come standard, although we've got the 22s because we've got the E supercharged version, only comes with 22s. But you see we've got this kind of sleek profile, which does trim down interior space a little bit, but not in a terrible way. Up top here, you got this kind of bisected spoiler treatment, and then you've got this duckbill spoiler down here. Also, if you look closely, the taillight treatment, this dual bar treatment, it's a little bit different on the Coupe version. If you go down here, now this isn't the exact exhaust outlet, it's just a little finisher surrounding it, but there is some attention to the fact that this does burn gasoline to make its power, unlike the SUV version where they've just completely hidden it. Overall, I think you've got a sleeker design, which reminds me, Flying Eye Sunglasses also has a sleek design, thin and bendable construction made possible by their patented Resilimide construction. If you'd like to wear Flying Eye sunglasses or eyewear like Sweetie wears, you can click the link in the description below and say, made it all the way through there and screwed up at the end. 10%, you get to save 10% if you use the promo code Micah. I'm leaving now. And lastly, the only no-charge color available is white. Everything else is going to cost you like $600 or like $1,200.
But this paint is so pretty. There's like a sparkle to it. I love it.
Worth $650?
Yes.
While Sweetie dreams of sparkle paint, you tell us, what do you think about the styling of the 2025 Genesis GV80? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Tell us in the comments. Also, thank you! Thank you for supporting our channel, whether that's just watching a video, liking, subscribing, however you support us. Thank you so much. Moving onward to In Motion. Laminated front and front side glass. Got a lot of foam covering the engine. They worked really hard to make this thing quiet, and indeed it is.
Even I noticed, and that's the kind of thing I would never notice.
When you're driving on the freeway, you're not so aware of your speed by sound. So I found myself hauling inadvertently, which was kind of fun. At high speed, the thing is very, very stable. It just feels like locked in. We've got an adaptive suspension with road preview. It's actually like looking ahead at the road and trying to adapt the suspension accordingly. That's optional, like in the SUV version, but on the Coupe, that's standard. So you think like, oh, pretty plush ride. Not necessarily. Even in comfort mode, you really do feel the road. I'm gonna draw a distinction between taut and harsh. Taut means like, I'm ready for action. You're aware of what you're driving over, but it's not punishing. And then harsh is just unpleasant. This is not harsh, but it is taut. One last taut thought.
Sweetie's taut thoughts.
I hope that doesn't become a segment. But we're riding on the 22-inch wheels. That might also contribute to some of that tautness. Taut thoughts. Last time we drove a GV80, which was only last year, I noted that it steered competently, but not playfully. I felt a little bit more playfulness driving around the mountain in this version.
Is it the D wheel?
Maybe the D wheel. The iguana's just waiting in the wings, ready to jump on in. The steering ratio is exactly the same as it was for 2024. The heft of the steering wheel and kind of maybe the flatness of the body. All I know is that driving this thing around, I found its confident cornering encouraged me to drive a little bit quicker. Oh, and also on the Coupe, we have a standard electronic limited slip rear differential for really getting that power to the ground, which is helpful when you're talking to this voice. Oh yeah. But I can't do that for long. We've got the 3.5 liter twin turbocharged V6, but only available for the Coupe. They have an electronic supercharger. Basically, it's like a little electric motor fan. It crams air into the engine before the turbos come online. So when you floor it, you just get that pull and it's prompt.
Sounds nice.
It does sound nice, and I've got all of the fake engine sound turned completely off, so that's actual engine sound you're hearing there. We also have more total horsepower than the basic 3.5 liter engine, and amazingly, better fuel economy as well.
Go fan thing.
Yeah, fan thing, fan thing, fan thing, fan thing. That was funny. This engine is also a mild hybrid, which explains the MHEV on the window sticker. Thank you, kid. The 8-speed automatic transmission, I find, does just a really great job of making its gear changes in silky, seductive fashion.
Well.
You really can change the demeanor of your GV80 by going through the different modes here. I found myself using Sport Plus for fun. When I first hopped into the GV80, I was braking for the first time, and I thought, oh, these brakes feel awfully touchy. Let's see if I can do it smoothly. Okay, well that was weird. It was trying to do some hybrid stuff and the engine shut off and then it came back on. That made it more difficult, but you can actually adjust the brake feel. That solved some of the touchiness, but coming to a super smooth limo stop, still kind of difficult. All right, that's what I think about driving the GV80. What does Sweetie think? Evie's at the wheel. We were talking earlier about how there's some heft in the vehicle. Does the steering feel too heavy, particularly at low speeds?
It feels fine.
Did you have fun driving this thing?
Sometimes I'm intimidated by luxury vehicles, but I didn't feel that way here.
Going to the point about not being intimidated, I feel like you left with real haste there.
There was a car coming.
I know. Do you feel like you had the power to get out ahead of that car?
Heck yeah.
It's the coupe body style, so potentially when you start making things sleek, it's hard to see out of. Any challenges with visibility?
Over my right shoulder, there is a blind spot there, and over my left shoulder, I sit so close to the steering wheel that there's a big pillar here. Visibility is not its strong suit.
In the GV80's defense, I will point out that blind spot warning does come standard, and it also has an optional blind spot visualization in the gauge cluster. If we were in the market for a luxury SUV, are there any game killers that would prevent you from buying a Genesis GV80?
No game killers here.
Brilliant! I'm getting back in the driver's seat. Let us move on to remarks.
That's a big screen you've got there.
This is all new for 2025. That is 27 inches of screen. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless smartphone connectivity comes standard, as does navigation.
I like how the icons are so distinct visually and sharp. It's very easy to reorder them. I had an easy time finding my way around, which is not always the case with luxury brands. I also really appreciate that they offer you this knob to move around or the touchscreen. Part of the reason it's so easy to find what I'm looking for is this 3D setup. I really like it when it's this dumb. Just point at the part of the car you want to change.
Overall, this is a big step up from the previously standard 14.5-inch infotainment setup. And now let's take a look under the hood in a test inspired by my buddy Brian. Here's where you check the engine oil. Look for the orange thing. You gotta pull off this little cover if you wanna add oil, and then over off to the left, that's where you add the washer fluid. And here's how the horn sounds.
That's an assertive sounding horn.
Okay, let's talk engine choices. The base engine is a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline 4-cylinder engine, and then there's a 3.5 liter V6 that's twin turbocharged. And then there's the mild hybrid E supercharged version of that 3.5 liter that we've been driving in our coupe. With all engines, all-wheel drive comes standard, as does an 8-speed automatic transmission. If you want max power, be sure to use premium fuel. I couldn't find a tow rating for the coupe, but on the regular SUV version of the GV80, it maxes out at 6,000 pounds for tow rating.
Sweetie,
Talk to me.
please share our trim recommendation.
There was the weird urgency there.
I know.
I will.
Please.
Boy, she really cares about this trim recommendation. Our trim recommendation is which trim will give you the essential features you would regret not getting in your Genesis GV80, but at the lowest possible price. We'd go with the base non-coupe version because it offers more interior space, along with standard leatherette seating with power heated front seats and a memory function, that 27-inch OLED screen we like so much, smart key access, and a 300 horsepower engine, which is really plenty for most most people's needs, all the essentials. If you're ready to buy a Genesis GV80 of your very own, click the Kelley Blue Book pricing link in the description below to learn what your current car is worth for trading and what you should spend on a Genesis GV80. As for the competition, the Audi Q7, the BMW X5, or for a cheaper alternative, consider the Lexus RX. Did we miss any remarks? If so, tell us in the comments section. And now it is our daughter's time to shine. Child, can you tell us what is your favorite feature in the Genesis GV80?
My favorite feature is the mood curator. It only has 4, but
That's like 4 more moods than most other vehicles we drive. What does it do?
it says it controls the small, but it doesn't really smell different. And it controls the music and the little thing on the screen.
Basically changes a bunch of different elements in the vehicle to create a certain mood, and if you're on the driver's side, it'll even give you a massage. We were looking in the cargo area, and there was like a little box. It was a scent from the out of doors, which is really funny because like we live in nature. I don't know how accurate that scent is, but I appreciate the effort. Family, I think we've done a good job reviewing the Genesis GV80. May I have a 5 and a 5, and you come get your high five. Bam! And now, please enjoy our AI-generated synopsis song about the Genesis GV80.
Little tweaks fit can't make it lean. And my GV80 can't be beat. Luxury defining can't be defeat. New heights reach, next levels I see.